Alright, we've got ourselves a really interesting problem. And I wanted to get into this situation so I could explain things. Basically, we have to do some work on the arm. We have to do some post-processing, and we want to make sure that that post-processing is not applied to the body. So how do you go through that process? What do you do? Well, I'm going to do the post-processing on another layer, just like we've done before. And the way you do this is that you apply it to everything, but you store a morph target. And you also make sure you do it in a layer. If you do that, then you can paint the shape back in. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So I'm going to come in, focus on one of these arms. We're going to mask by cavity. Cool. Okay, our transpose max blur strength is still 5. So we're going to blur the mask, which is a really nice subtle one. And then I'm going to turn view mask off. Then I'm going to inflate it once. So the setting is 1. Setting is 1 again. 1 again. 1 again. 1 again. Okay. You could probably even invert this. Turn view mask off and take your inflate and set it to say -1. That could be interesting as well. Really, really emphasize stuff happening here. Alright, it's kind of nice actually. I'm kind of a fan, although the texturing in that tricep I'm not a fan of. Okay, so then I'm going to invert that mask again and turn view mask off, and let's polish it. So I'm going to set that to, I don't know, let's see, I think we set it pretty high, and it did some nice work. Cool. I think that's too much. We lost a lot of softness. Or we have a lot of softness now. So why don't we do this as a second process? And then I can dial them out. So I created a new layer. I've polished this again. I can polish it one more time and really just get that polish to really smooth this form out. So I'll have inflated it, I'll have polished it, and now I'm going to just fine-tune them into each other. So inflate is going to stay where it is, but this polish, I'm going to start down at 0.2 and work my way up. Okay, 0.5 is going to work for me. So now what we need to do is get ourselves into a position where we are able to start to transfer information from our morph target to our sculpt. So let me explain what I mean. Let's turn all these layers off. Your morph target has the arm that you don't want, and it has the chest that you do want. So we need to switch these guys out, and the way you do that is with the morph brush. So I'm going to go back. This is the default phase. I'm going to turn these layers back on. These are my sculpting layers. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to select the morph brush and just start to paint that body back to the stage that I wanted. So you're going to have to go over the entire body, but I'm also going over the entire body because there are some things I like about what I just did. So I want to keep some elements of that. When it gets down here into the legs and all that, I'm just going to increase my morph brush, set my intensity really high, and I don't need to worry about these areas. Although this is, you know, the effects are nice and is going to set us up for later. So I'm unpainting everything except the hand, the arm. There we go. A little bit around the deltoid. Okay, we're in great shape. We're back with that chest that we had, and as well as some of the modifications that we've made. So this might be really confusing, but what you want to do is just go through it step by step. That's the really important thing. Go through it step by step. So let me explain it a little bit before we go too much further, though. Let's get the morph target visible. Alright, we've got two palettes here. So consider a morph target to be a bucket. So this is a bucket where you can put things into it. You know, just a nice simple little bucket. You carry stuff. And so what we did is we took the model from one state and we just put it inside the bucket. Alright, and this state had the chest that we really liked. So we just stored that state, we put it in a bucket. And then we took a new layer, we created a new layer, and we basically put what was in the bucket into that new layer. And we did that using the morph brush. And the job of the morph brush is basically to take whatever is in this bucket and put it onto your sculpt, which effectively put it into that layer. So it's a nice way to be storing states and transferring them and lining them up. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we now have a complete torso, really beat up, quite gnarly. Interesting musculature, some complex form. Can't wait to see yours at ZBrush workshops. And really remember, get in there and just really beat the surface up, because you're going to post-process it. Okay, and see you in the next section.